Well, today we're off to 1991 to look at the first pairing of Judge Dredd with Batman. Now, back then, in the 80s and 90s, I was collecting various Batman comics, Batman Detective, Shadow of the Bat, Legends of the Dark Knight, etc., etc. But I was also a massive 2000 AD fanboy and had been since 1977. And so, therefore, when it was announced that John Wagner and Alan Grant would be teaming up Batman and Judge Dredd, this was something to celebrate because John Wagner, co-creator of Judge Dredd, Alan Grant in 2000 AD, one of the best writers on Strontium Dog. I was very aware of the writing of these two guys and great fan of their works. Great adventure yarns laced with tons and tons of humour, sometimes very, very dark humour, but the humour is there nonetheless. And then it was announced that Simon Bisley was going to be the artist, and this fanboy almost passed out because at that time Simon had made himself a comic book superstar in the UK when he almost single-handedly, in my opinion, reinvigorated the British comic book scene with his fully painted art that he did on Slain, the Horned God. And, everything was rewritten. And he is just a titan of illustration. I won't just say comic books, but illustration. You look at any of his paintings, and they are paintings. I'm just stunned by the talent in the man. So to have the guy that did The Horned God doing the artwork for a teaming up of John Wagner and Alan Grant on a teaming up of Batman and Judge Dredd, I mean, wow. So this is it. This is the collection, Judgement on Gotham. This is the first one. Thanks again to Andrew for supplying me with this large format version. And I thought we would look at this today. And this today is the very first look at a publication that is a self-contained one story rather than being a part of an ongoing tale, right? So I thought we would just have a look through it, and I'll point out things. And yeah, fully painted art, as you can see. If you've never read this, go seek it out. It is well worth it. The art is just otherworldly almost, it's incredible. This, I don't know if this was actually in the script or if this is Simon Bisley just being wonderful, in that you've got a side-on bat logo which develops into the kissing couple. That's a terrific moment. And yeah, their canoodling is cut short by the arrival of Judge Death. Now, anyone who's watching this who maybe isn't in the UK and doesn't know 2000 AD, and maybe Judge Dredd from the couple of films we've had so far, this is the nemesis of Judge Dredd. Judge Death is basically the Joker to Judge Dredd. He's the anti-Judge Dredd, same as the Joker is the anti-Batman, all right? And this is him. So at the same time this is happening, we have this glorious shot. This is our introduction to Batman here, and this Batmobile. And can we just pause and study that Batmobile, because this is a brilliant design, and I think is one of these instances where it's a fantastic design that works in the comic book and maybe might not work in live action. We had something similar to this recently when I looked at Batman Forever, and it had the big fins. This hasn't got the silly lit up bat logos for the hubcaps. It's just got the almost eyes in the way of lights at the front, and it's got this huge, great air intake. But this is a fantastic design. I don't know if Eagle Moss have done this, but if they have, I want one. I don't know how Batman can actually drive this and see around that air intake, but that is just an amazing Batmobile. I have started on the Facebook page for this channel a listing of Batmobiles and my top 10 Batmobiles, and this is number one because at the moment the only thing on the list is the Batman Forever Batmobile. This trumps it hands down. Okay, but I'm a bit of a waffle, we're only on page 2. So there's our first proper shot of Batman. Unfeasibly long ears and the gauntlet things, but that is brilliant. I don't know what colour Batman's meant to be. Sometimes he's grey and sometimes Simon paints him in a blue. Whichever, you know, it's fine by me. So before we move on, there's a few instances in this story where you either have a whole page devoted to one panel or just a couple of panels, and I don't know if this is padding. It's a very slight tale, not an awful lot happens in it, but and it could be that this is padding because here we've got Batman going up against Judge Death and he inadvertently impales him on some railings and they think he's dead. This is something Simon Bisley does a lot. He did it on The Horned God. For some reason, he decides to go monochrome or just one colour in an illustration and then pop back to full colour. So I love the humour in this. You know, Batman is saying, human or not, I had no right to take its life. To which Judge Death goes, listen to the Boy Scout. Well, count me out, sucker. So basically, he's blown up and he goes into his spirit form and escapes. Batman examines the remains, his physical remains, finds the dimension jump belt, touches it, and here we go. Another almost whole page illustration of Batman arriving in Mega City 1. And immediately comes up against another classic Judge Dredd villain, Mean Machine, for This Is He, one of the Angel Gang, known for only having one arm, and that's robotic, and the dial on his head, which one goes from 1 to 4, and he can set that himself. That's his level of aggressiveness. So, big fight between Mean Machine and Batman. Colours again are just beautiful, and look at this face. Terrific stuff. Our first shot of Judge Dredd is just here, and here he is going up against Batman. He shoots out the bat line and arrests Batman, and this is neat. Batman says, you don't need the cuffs. Dredd's like, put them on. I've no quarrel with the law. If that's what you are, good. Then you won't mind doing what you're told. One whack with his truncheon on his chin. Batman's knocked out and he's unmasked immediately. We'll move forward. Judge Anderson, the telepath judge, is roped in. This is great, this whole scene where they've got Batman tied up and he's being questioned, and Dredd goes through everything that they find in his utility belt, and he says, I'll tell you something else, the mask, the costume, the weapons, you know what I smell? I smell vigilante, and I don't like vigilantes. Batman's, is there any chance I could speak to someone with a little intelligence? And in comes Anderson. So, what do we think of this depiction of Bruce Wayne? I don't mind it. I like the way he's greying at the temples. This is a Batman some years, I think, into the role. I like the curly quiff. But Anderson, being a telepath and a mind reader, reads his mind. And again, another whole page piece of art, and it is art. Look at that. I'm going to zoom in so you can see, if you haven't seen this before. Simon's Catman's in it. Out of all the people he could choose to populate Batman's mind, that's a rather strange depiction of Catwoman. As Anderson says, it's weird. That's what's going on in his mind. Terrific Joker. So, we go through. Brilliant. They start fighting again, but we cut back to our secondary villain. Scarecrow is down in the morgue, and that's where the spirit form of Judge Death arrives. This is Simon's depiction of Scarecrow. Okay, I'll note this for later. He tries scaring Judge Death with a boo. Anderson decides Dredd is wrong. He's not going to be locked up for like 20 years or whatever, and escapes with Batman. Back in Gotham City, they find a body for Judge Death to inhabit. He inhabits cadavers and reanimates them. More Mean Machine. I'm just going to skip through this. What are we at? Coming up on 12 minutes. Yeah, this is the body having its flesh decayed down to the skeleton so he can inhabit the body. He needs robes of office. This is so John Wagner and Alan Grant. He needs robes of office. The lackey says, I had a stroke of luck. Biker had an accident. So he's got his helmet, and instead of having the portcullis mask, he just scratches the visor with his talons. He hasn't got a pterodactyl. It's not easy to lay your hands on a pterodactyl in a hospital at midnight. So he gives him a dead chicken. And instead of the shoulder pad, there's some prime rib. And yeah, this is so Wagner and Grant. But this is the new version of Judge Death. Okay, Ride-em Cowboy for his belt, and I like how his badge is a poison thing with death without the A on it. So yeah, we'll move on. This is the Scarecrow trying out the fear gas on the Joker, and we see Judge Death, and we see just what frightens Judge Death. Move on. We'll move on. Look at that Batmobile. Look at that. This easily trumps the Batman Forever one. Even though there's design similarities to it, this tops it. Yeah, there's a Living Death concert, and this is where it goes very silly, because Death takes the stage and yeah, basically becomes Mick Jagger. And reinterprets the lyrics. This is very silly as well, that you've got to remember this is just a regular human dead body who can now open its jaw wide enough to actually bite a head off and spit the eyeball out. So yeah, we'll just skip through to the finale. Again, look at that huge great page. And again, there's not even any sound effects on that one. So we'll get to the end now. And here's the two guys trying to, pick a fight with each other. You've still got time to serve. Don't kid yourself. You can do this the easy way or the hard way. Hard suits me fine. For crying out loud, Joe, give it a rest. So that's the end. And as I say, this is only the first one. That, for Judge Dredd, is a compliment. bit of a tough guy. Right, and as I say, this is the very first tale. There are others, and I will cover them at some point. So that is that. Now, on this channel, I vote for things, don't I? And as I say, this is my first like standalone, and I'm going to have a tally for all the standalone stories. So I've got to give a vote out of 10 on this. And, you know, the artwork is sublime. The story is very slim. There's not much in the way of characterization. There's an awful lot of humor, and I enjoy that. 7.5. I was going to give it an 8, and then I was going to give it a 7. So 7.5 is that. Batmobile has been rated. New tallies I'm going to start as well today are my top 10 depictions, comic book depictions of Batman and other characters. So top 10. So this is the start of it. So at number 1, we have the Simon Bisley Batman, the Simon Bisley Joker, the Simon Bisley Scarecrow. So that's what we're going with. Okay. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't got it and you're a fan of either of the characters, go and get it. Okay, that's me done then. I'll be back. What am I doing next? I'm not sure what I'm doing next. I think I'm resurrecting something off of my mystery models page and putting it up. It won't be comic book related. I don't want to always be comics. All right. Well, thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you next time.